is actually advancing, and I
Yes.
think it's assisting. If that is the direction, then it's fine. Otherwise, if the two other unions are standing with the motions earlier on, we'll have to vote.
No, Fau. Okay, fine. Okay. Now, those who do not have minutes, that will be addressed, and then we come back to them as requested. Thank you. Is that brother? Yeah. Now I invite the Acting General Secretary to acknowledge who is here. Kutheni ningaculi maqabane? Oh, you are conscious of the time. Okay. Is that? Ndingaziculela mos mna. Oh, nguwe Fau? Is it Fau? Okay.
President, for fear of being, we didn't hear those affiliates agreeing with that motion. Otherwise, that motion is still standing.
No, it's agreed, Fau.
Oh, on record.
I'm prepared to put my neck on the block. It's agreed. Dinosa?
President, we are aggrieved in the manner in which he closed that matter. We are not necessarily against that understanding, because we understand it seeks to persuade Congress to have a positive note of this matter. But you had noted us, and you have not checked with us if we are covered with what you have said. Okay. And that is what is making us aggrieved. We feel as if we had been closed outside. However, because we are very progressive, we want this Congress to continue smoothly. We are also part of those who are partly not covered with the distribution of the documents as said. And we accept that you are covered with that summary. Thank you very much.
Okay. South African Democratic Teachers Union.
Thank you, President. We want to assist Congress because we believe that for procedural purposes, we must be able to stand down this motion officially and it be on records, so that we are not found having flouted the procedure, Comrade President. Hence, as the movers of the motion, we want to officially, as requested by the Acting General Secretary, to stand down the motion until such time that all affiliates will have received the copies of the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, teachers. Satau, Lidum Mendat, Moran. Yeah. Eva sebenzi manyanane. Eva sebenzi manyanani bo. Eva sebenzi hlanganane. Eva sebenzi hlanganani bo. Oh, ikhona enhlangano. Cosatu, iolele nhlangano yabasebenzi, ikolele nhlangano Cosatu, ikhona le nhlangano yabasebenzi, ebasebenzi manyanane. ebasebenzi manyana nibo ebasebenzi manyandane ebasebenzi manyana nibo ikhona enhlangano Cosatu yiyo le inhlangano yabasebenzi ikhona enhlangano Cosatu yiyo le inhlangano yabasebenzi ebasebenzi manyanane ebasebenzi manyanani bo ebasebenzi manyanande ebasebenzi manyanani yo yiyo le nhlangano Cosatu yiyo le nhlangano yabasebenzi.
Comrades, we were given the list of our guests present in this meeting this morning. Some of them might have just gone out, but we are going to indicate the organizations that are present, and we are going to update the list as we move on. We will not ask our comrade to maybe to stand. We just want you to know who is here. On the civil society, comrade, we got the National Taxi Alliance. We got NAPWA. We got Traditional Healers. At Life Africa, Krizani Institute. We got Naledi. We got CGE, Rosa Luxemburg, Job Creation Trust. We got SATSAU, the South African Domestic Workers Union. We got Solidarity Center. We got the South African Youth Council. Ngangambona President Wabola. We got Ditsila. We have the African National Congress. Ebeili to our comrade, members of the NEC, bahambile babuyele to not the whole ANC. I'm talking about those members of the NEC. They've gone back. Bazobuya futhi khona ngekudala. Kodwa comrade Desu sasekhona la. We got the Minister of Development, Comrade Ibrahim Patel. Abanye bamazi ngalezwa indwanga ezifaka lapho Comrade EP. Proudly South Africa. He is here. Minister Oliphant was here, gone back to the NWC. Isanko delegation led by Comrade Uskumbuzo Mpanz. Kondo temfishane batikona ngapha. Uhamba no former president wePortwa. The Youth League was led by Comrade Colin Maine. I think it's gone back to the NWC. The party is here. It was led by Comrade Blade. Naye ngatubuyele lapha to the house. Kune YCL ledwa General Secretary wabo, amakomanisi amancane. ukhona la umlungu. Kune Sansko, Comrade Ntutuko Makomboti, was here. Bese ke kuba namanye ama international guests, so biza nje ama organization wawo. LO Norway, CGT France, BFTU Botswana, NCW Eritrea, TUC Ghana, ZCTU Zimbabwe, CUT Brazil, SATUC, OATU, WFTU Central, WFTU Africa, SIG2, Focus, BDS, Pudemo, AFL-CIO Solidarity Center, SUDF of Sudan, SSN of Swaziland, BWI, PSI, UNI, Industrial Oil, and we got our embassy. Yase Western Sahara is here. Yase Palestine is here. Con embassy of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Bukona embassy yase Cuba. Norwegian embassy, German embassy, kona onta yase Angola. Bese kuba nama former office bearers we Cosatu. So wabiza ke wona ngamagama kukhona uMajoy uJoyce Phekane, kube khona uJoe Nkosi, kube khona uConnie September, awaziwa kakhulu la September Commission. Abantu bangambona ngamehlo ke ukuthi uye wayechera le ya September Commission. Kube khona ibhakhani elikhulu makhulu lidwaba. Bese kuba no comrade former sacked member ucomrade uStalin. Ngazo comrade Stalin usasekhona na. Ya na umdala la hleli khona comrade Stalin. Ake nimsheleni izandla comrade ucomrade Stalin. Asifune emela ngoba i-Communist Party yamisa kakhulu lapha ku-Congress yabo efunda amagama uComrade Stalin. Thina ngeke sivume la uComrade Stalin eme ngenyawo ngoba siyazi ukuthi ubuya kuphi. Comrade okwamanje yiwo ke ama guest wethu akhona. Kukhona mhlamba abanye singababalanga. Bangasazisa nje masithola isithuba futhi sisho ukuthi hawo ngakhohlwa ucomrade abambhalanga msho abamazi phuka comrade Ronald Mfukeng amandla yena amanye ngama comrade akhona sizonazisa ngokuqhubeka kwesikhathi. Please comrade ngicwalise nje nilethe la ngakithi.
Thank you, Brother Tiger. We call him Bright Tiger. That's the name he is popularly known with. And he got that name when he was a taxi driver, he was a taxi driver owner. That is his previous career. Comrade back in Charlie, Brother Tiger. Comrade, at this point in time, we will now invite the president of Cosatu to come and make the opening address of this National Congress. I'm not going to choose a song for him because he knows how to choose the song that is going to make him. Yole Shalisumfan. Yole Wangusata. Yameme Sinsin. Yatume Maseben. Yole Shalisumfan. Yole Wangusata. Isamthathu zum isambeke luthuli sathi xatha msholo
Amandla! 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 Viva Cosatu, viva! Viva Cosatu, viva! Forward with the unity of Abasebenzi, forward! Forward with the unity of Cosatu, forward! Viva Cosatu, viva! Viva the ANC, viva! Viva the South African Communist Party, viva! Viva Sanko, viva! Osamthathu Zuma, awusambeke luthuliwo. Sathi phatha msholozi, uzusiphathe ngoxolo. Osamthathu Zuma, awusambeke luthuliwo. Sathi mfoka msholozi, uzusiphathe ngoxolo. Awuyamemeza insimbi, yatuma emadlebeni, iyolehlanyisa umfana, awuyiyoleba ngusathane. Yamemeza insimbi, yatuma emadlebeni, iyolena ihlanyisa umfana, iyoleba ngusathane. Awuyamemeza insimbi, yatuma emadlebeni, iyolehlanyisa umfana, awuyoleba ngusathane. Amandla! Obathina sobabamba, obathina sobabamba, sobabamba, sobabamba. Awuyashisa lo mzabalazo, obathina sobabamba, obathina sobabamba, sobabamba, sobabamba. Awuyashisa lo mzabalazo. Sengiyashone Cosatu, iyashiswa, uyanqazela abalazo. Sengiyashone Cosatu, iyashiswa, uyanqazela. Awuyashisa lo mzabalazo. Obathina sobabamba, obathina sobabamba, sobabamba, sobabamba. Awuyashisa lo mzabalazo. Obathina sobabamba, obathina sobabamba, Awu sobabamba, sobabamba. Awuyashisa lo mzabalazo. Obathina sobabamba. Obathina sobabamba. Awu sobabamba, sobabamba. Awuyashisa lo mzabalazo. Amandla. Thank you very much. Comrade President, who is the Program Director, Comrade Chocho James, my colleagues, the National Office Bearers of Cosatu, members of the Central Executive Committee of Cosatu, the delegation of the ANC, now I see it's led by Comrade Mwako Ramatlodi. The delegation of the party, at the moment led by its second Deputy General Secretary, Comrade Soli Mapaila. The delegation of Sanko, led by the Deputy President, led by the General Secretary, Tabekulu. The delegation of the ANC Women's League, I've not seen who is here. I wasn't here when Prateka was acknowledging our guests, but I assume the ANC Women's League is part of Cosatu. They are here. The delegation of the ANC Youth League, led by its president. I saw the president earlier, Comrade Colin Mile. I also saw the General Secretary. The delegation of the ANC, no, Ufasimba. Our own, the Young Communist League of South Africa, led by its General Secretary. I saw him, he's here. Comrade Umluleki, President of SASCO. Comrade Ntutugo Makomboti and the delegation. COSAS. Hey, ngenazi waziyababa le ngane ze COSAS. Bapi. Comrade Mondlis Kosana, the president of FEDUSA. I haven't seen him, but FEDUSA is part of our guests, ought to be led by their president, Comrade Kwas Bezaiden Ward. The president of NACT, who I now know is here, and I've not been informed. Yes. Comrade Joseph McCragen, thank you very much, President of NACT, for coming through, because people are trying to steal NACT and FEDUSA, and these leaders are refusing. They say we have been with Cosatu for many, many years, and we are not going to dump Cosatu in its time of need of our support. Thank you very much for that. The General Secretary of ITUC, I know that the Assistant General Secretary will be joining us in the next few days, because the General Secretary there won't be able to make it here. Our General Secretary, who is coming tomorrow of WFTU, Comrade George Mavrikos, who will be joining us tomorrow, but the delegation of WFTU is here. Our distinguished guests, both locally and internationally. I must in particular acknowledge also that we have the church leadership which has always stood with us in Cosatu, even when other leaders from other churches were dumping us. They've stood with us and they are here. I saw Baba Ulibusa is here. Thank you very much. We know that they pray for Cosatu every time. We want to also acknowledge, as the national office bearers, the support we've been getting from our families through these difficult times. We acknowledge you, our partners, I can say my wife in particular, and all our family members who have stood with us all the time. We acknowledge and thank you. Do accept the revolutionary greetings from the Central Executive Committee of Cosatu, and on behalf of Cosatu's 2 million members. Have you seen what the credentials are saying? And I want the media to listen carefully to this one, because sometimes they think we are faking these numbers. It's 1,928,000. That's 2 million. We want to give special thanks to you, the delegates, sitting here. As national office bearers, we have been seeing you through all the 9 provincial congresses of Cosatu that were happening. We also saw that you were here in the last special national congress. We thank you for being here today to defend Cosatu. Thank you very much for having stood by your own organization for all this time. We know that you have refused when people were recruiting you to divide your own unions from within. We know you refused when people were saying, let's form a new federation alternate to Cosatu. You refused. You refused when people were saying, Cosatu is dead. You said, but we are here. We want to thank you for that. We want to thank Fedusa Naktu. I repeat this point. For having been giving support to Cosatu national office bearers during this period. We want to thank you for refusing to associate yourselves with an agenda that sought to liquidate Cosatu. Cosatu appreciates your role. Comrades, if it is true that we want to communicate a single message to all of you, and the message to all those who are listening from all over our country, South Africa, that message says, and it's not with arrogance, it is informed by the practical experiences we have seen as we went all over the country, speaking to members, knowing how far we have come with this project of Cosatu's unity. We can say with full confidence, all of us gathered here, and I mean all of us, all the Cosatu unions, we are resolved to achieve the unity of our Cosatu, all of us here. We come from a period where we had to choose and make difficult decisions. Choose between allowing Cosatu to degenerate and be dislocated and be eaten away by some among us, or to stand together and defend this federation yaga Baha'i. We chose to stand to defend Cosatu. It was not easy. It was a very, very difficult process. It will go into the history of our country and of the federation as a moment that in the life of Cosatu, before it reached 30 years, it had to go through a period of being pulled all the side, left, right, trying to destroy this organization. And we, all of us, will count in the future generations as people who stood together, all of us here and the workers throughout the country, to say, no, we will refuse for our Cosatu to be destroyed. At times, we had to spend money to defend Cosatu. We had to go to courts to defend Cosatu. At times, we were at each other's throats. Not a single comrade who is here will say they were not affected by the period that we have been. But we continued. It is said that believing or faith is believing to things not seen and know that they exist and believe that they exist. Most of you who had no information, no clue as to what was going on, you had to hold on one thing, a belief that maybe our CEC is correct and the decisions they have taken, they are correct. It's gonna be only here when you will then hear the whole truth today. But because of that belief, you stood with your leaders all the time. We appreciate that. But we say at this Congress, the whole truth shall come. We are bringing this organization to yourselves. You handed it over to the CEC and this leadership in 2012. You said you want a united Cosatu. It has not been easy. But at least you are standing here to say, here is your Cosatu. Do what you want to do with it. There has been attempts by many, many forces. You know, at the last Special National Congress, I said something here. Something that I knew was correct. But maybe not all of you knew, in particular, that people were pumping money to destroy this federation. Money that was coming from countries outside this country. When I said that here, and I don't retract an inch of the words that I said about that issue. America cried. And America wanted to meet with us. Initially, when they wrote us a letter, I said to the national office bearers, these people want to meet with us. Should we? And we felt that we were not going to meet with them. They then went through our government and persuaded government. We finally, after a period of 2 months, agreed to meet with them. And we showed them evidence of what we're talking about. And as they saw what we're talking about, they say, yeah, no, Cosatu. Yeah, we agree now. You are justified to say these things we're saying. We have been taking some of your leaders abroad and negotiating them to get funding. They were saying they are fundraising for Cosatu. We said, but we never got a cent of that money. Now, whilst we're looking for that, and I'm not going to take you to that detail, but then they told us more, even things we didn't ask for. We will brief the CEC, or the incoming leadership will brief the CEC in detail of that particular matter. But we stand by our word that some countries from the North America in particular were involved in destabilizing Cosatu and destabilizing this country for whatever purpose we still do not know. Now, you are the workers, you are the owners of Cosatu. I said to you at this Special National Congress, things have gone wrong the way they have is because the workers, the owners of this federation have let their guards down. So let's all wake up. People want this Cosatu for a political party called the Workers' Party. People want this Cosatu to form something that must challenge the current alliance led by the ANC, an alternate to Cosatu itself. They want Cosatu to form an alternative to itself. So you've got to stand up. We will brief the CEC about that particular detail. Books are written. Books are written. There's a book recently written by some erstwhile members of the SACP who were expelled, others, or some of them failed to stay comfortably in the SACP and moved out. They are in some universities here. They've written a book about us without us, Cosatu. They say Cosatu in crisis. The president, Comrade George, of course, he reads a lot. He has read the foreword of that book. You must go read it, but don't buy it. You can Google it and read it. Because we mustn't support people who are destroying us. The foreword of that book called Cosatu in Crisis was written 2 years back, before we even took certain decisions here. The foreword was written, which was spelling out the disaster or sort of the death of Cosatu. It is written there 2 years ago, and the book is published on the eve of the Congress of Cosatu to confuse all of us here, because abantu abafundile have written that Cosatu is in a crisis. Go and read that book, but don't buy it. But we know that people got a lot of money to write that book. because Cosatu is now a market where people can come and make a lot of money. We shall refuse, Mapaila, to allow Cosatu to be feeding into greedy people who want us to believe that we are that bad when we know our weaknesses, when we know our challenges, when we are dealing with our own challenges. But people who are not even members of Cosatu unions will continue to write these things. We refuse. No one should write our obituary, particularly when they don't even speak to us. But this Congress has got to reassert the character of the federation as we have known it. Discipline, militant, campaigning, representing the interest of the workers in South Africa, interacting with the struggles of the working class in South Africa, ensuring that we form alliances with the progressives and strengthen the alliance that is there and ensure that it delivers. I will come back to the alliance. Ngiyathanda mangikhuluma nge-SACP ne-ANC ngoba masila siyakwazi ukutshena namaqiniso. We are therefore, comrades, reporting to you that all the Cosatu unions are back in Cosatu. All of them. We have 18 unions. We appreciate that because it has been the work in the different divides that we have been. Each divide has been engaging, informed by one objective. We want a united Cosatu. And it has come to the point now where we converge. We are converging here. We want one thing, the unity of our own Cosatu. So, there is no enemy union here of Cosatu. These are the unions of Cosatu. Treat each other like that. Yes, we shall be robust. Yes, we shall stand up, sing when you want to sing, following the rules that have been adopted. But very critically, this leadership, the Central Executive Committee, met in the last sitting of the CEC a few weeks ago. Even the union that did not come sent an apology that was respecting the CEC, and the CEC was happy to accept that apology. So all of them were there. Ngiyazi ke ngoba laba beindaba basekho nje nalapha sekuselela amakamera nje ethu kuphela. They did not want to listen to that good story. But we don't need them to tell our story. It is our story. It is what we know. It is what we are experiencing. That we have worked so hard for this unity and the results are beginning to show. You know, they are even lying here when you were voting on credentials. They are here. The media is here. But they feed lies on radio. Thousands have rejected the credentials. What type of a lie? When the results were announced here by IEC, they then feed the wrong information outside and into South Africa that thousands have rejected. When all of us, you know, democracy says, this Congress, all of us, we then, after voting or after deferring, we then all of us adopted the credentials of this Congress. That's what happens. Because the democracy ihamba kanjalo angithi. Comrades, the plight of the working class and I can talk to different sectors, I can say that in mining, Bamatosa, abasebenzi bathwele kanzima. Employers want to retrench in thousands. We need to stand together to defend those jobs. In the retail sector, Babu Bones School, they want to retrench in thousands. We have to stand together to defeat that. Kanyamazane kunenkampani okuthiwa uMbaba le eMpumalanga. Workers have been on strike for the past 3 weeks from the 4th of November to date. The employer now wants to dismiss them. Why? Those workers, 3,500 of them, and the employer is wanting to dismiss them. We have to stand together. We have to stand together in the most difficult times. Manufacturing, sometimes, Comrade EP, we don't know how to thank our government and the efforts you are employing to assist the manufacturing sector. It cannot be enough. Employers, workers, feeling the squeeze of the economy, would have retrenched hundreds of thousands of those workers. I know for a fact that in the metal sector, billions were pumped by this government to save those jobs there. Siyabonga. It's not enough, but thank you very much. It's an effort that is recognized. Not because you are coming from Cosatu or Sagtu, but because the collective there knows the plight we're facing there. We thank you for those interventions. Kwenzeni konke niyokwenza naseDunlop. There is a company that used to be called Dunlop in Durban, the biggest of it in the tire sector. It has closed down. And workers have lost jobs. The community there suffers because that company that used to employ those thousands who were feeding thousands of their families. We've called for Comrade Rob Davis. He has promised. We hope he comes around so that we can save those jobs. We can save that company. You know, these employers are so ruthless. The president of Limusa works for a particular company. He implements the decision that says, you are now 3 months on the job, we should be registered permanently. And he assists those suffering employees. He is a permanent employee himself, but he's helping those that are vulnerable. What does the employer do? They fire him. The processes, because they want him fired so that they weaken the union, a small union in Cosatu, which is very critical, Limusa. They fire a president for recruiting and ensuring that the employer observes the law. When they are taken to task, they realize that they have no case. They now say, can we settle? Can you tell us how much you want? Thank you, Wenam Dleche, for refusing to be blackmailed by those employers. If all of us could be like that, even in the most difficult times of our lives, Singenamali, he has not been paid for the past 2 months or 3 months fighting this case. We're still fighting that case. But when the employer offers him a settlement in the form of money, they say, tell us how much you want, we'll just sign and you go. He refuses. How many of you would do that? So, we have to stand together. We have to stand firm together and fight this. I want to join FAO lapha ke babukatish lapha siyolwa nalomqasho ofuna uxosha laba abasebenzi eMbaba. Asihambe siye lapho. Siyolungisa leyo nkinga. But we will not succeed, comrades, if we are divided. If we are divided as affiliates, if we are divided as Cosatu, let us hold on now. Akeke nithi ho. Sime manje ukuloku sixabana sodwa. Yes, ngiyayizwa impela FAO. Asimeni manje ukuxabana sodwa. Silungisane, siqondisane siye phambili. That is what the workers want from us. That is what workers want from us. The global economic crisis has impacted negatively also on the economy of South Africa. I've said that the manufacturing sector, the mining sector, the retail sector is the hardest hit by this situation. So our unions have got to work together. We've got to support each other. We are founded on the principle also of workers' solidarity. And we must always work to support one another. I wanted then, Comrade President, in short, to address this matter of the alliance. But before I address that matter, I am supposed to say on behalf of this Congress and on behalf of the CEC, because we have a mandate from the CEC. Government must never interfere with the workers' provident funds and the retirement funds. Without consulting us. It is our money. It is not the government's money. It is our salaries. We call them deferred salaries, which we will use when we come through difficult times, like we get retrenched, we retire, or we die. It is our salaries. It will be important for an ANC government to consult with us on that matter. Because we will refuse, we're not going to agree. It's one matter that we have said, we will apply for a Section 77 if government does not listen on this matter. Secondly, the government must remember that we need a comprehensive social security plan in South Africa. And we are appealing that that matter has got to be addressed soon. It has been lying in abeyance for the past 10 years, yet so critical. Should that matter or the paper on the comprehensive social security be resolved, it will allow us to have a better discussion even about the matter you're trying to raise, Treasury. Because these issues are linked. A comprehensive social security helps to protect those vulnerable workers who fall through the cracks of the economy. We have to resolve that matter. Treasury and social development must work together on that matter so that we look into that paper. Because, and I know people have been making a hula baloo. Cosatu is saying they are not going to vote for the ANC in the local government elections unless government stops interfering with the pensions and the provident fund of the workers. It's a warning. As comrades, we must warn each other. This matter is so sensitive amongst ourselves, the workers. Those who have been in Cosatu for a long time will remember that one of the issues that led to the 1973 Durban strikes was the issue of the pension funds and the provident funds. Because workers were saying, we do not want to die before we can access our money. Now the NUM has a better story to tell about that because they lost a leader at some point about this particular issue. So let us engage properly, government, and find each other on this question because it means so much to the worker who has a meager salary, who depends and hopes that when he is retrenched, before finishing paying for the bond, he is going to go to that pension fund or the provident fund, cash it to pay up the bond. Now, if government, in encouraging us to save, says the law that must come in must prevent us from cashing up the lump sum, it's fair and good. But talk to us so that we say also what we think about your good idea of teaching us to save. We'll tell you about the comprehensive social security plan. We'll tell you about the national minimum wage. We'll tell you about the decent jobs. We'll tell you about the need to ensure that those monies must also be invested properly because they are only invested in building malls which we cannot even access. So talk to us, our government, so that we resolve this matter. Striking now. Now, there is a matter that frustrates the national office bearers of Cosatu and the CEC at large. We are concerned that in the ANC-led alliance, the succession debate for leadership in 2017 has started in 2013 or 2012 or 2015, when you still have to win elections in 2016. People are debating now, some even claiming that Cosatu supports a particular leader. Some even claiming no, Cosatu does not support a particular leader. The CEC has discussed this matter and holds a view that we must discourage the debate on the succession on who must take over after President Zuma. Win elections first. Unite the ANC, unite the alliance, and show that you have an alliance that is strong and capable of defending itself and this country from these forces who want to steal away this country. Money will destroy us. Money will destroy our organizations. Even trade unions will be destroyed by money. Uvumelana ukuthengwa ngemali. Why do you subject yourself to such a degrading, inhuman condition of being bought by money? You lose your soul. You are no more yourself. You get into the pocket of an individual who has money. It's going to destroy us all of us. Lincane iphakethe lomuntu. Khona manje sesigqoka ama-slim fit. If you get here into this pocket, you will suffocate. You will not even be able to enjoy the money that I've given you. But you would have lost your soul. You would have lost your personality. You will be lying to yourself and you will be lying to everybody. Everything you say from the time you have taken money to be bribed, you will be a lie. You will be lying because it will be dependent on the master who gave you the money. Okay. Last time I said free yourself. Today I say save yourself. From being in the pocket of somebody that doesn't like you but wants to use you with the money they have. So, we want a strong ANC-led alliance that is capable of representing the interest of the working class, yes, and everybody in the country. They are very important. But we want an ANC, an SACP, Cosatu, Sanko that are united and strong. The tide against us is so huge. On Cosatu, then I'll be sitting down to allow Congress to proceed. The task facing us the immediate one is to consolidate the unity of Cosatu through our Back to Basics campaign. Asibuyele emasisweni. Organizers must go and service members and recruit more members. Shop stewards must go and service members and recruit more members and defend their organizations. It is so nice and convenient, and it is possible at this Congress that can be the case. Nice and convenient to say we are in all these problems because Cosatu is divided. Does Cosatu exist without the unions? Can there be a Cosatu without strong unions of Cosatu? Ngiyazi maselishaya ethanjeni niyathula kanje. Yeah, there is no Cosatu without the unions under Cosatu. Therefore, let us build these unions through our Back to Basics campaign. Yekelani manje niyanqumana niyasuspendana niyaxoshana no yonke lento le enzakalayo. Hayihambani niyokhulumisana maqabane. Sinbize sizokhuluma nani. Niyasuka nina anizi. If I had the power, which I don't have, I was going to propose to this Congress on the constitutional amendments to empower the CEC of Cosatu mandating the national office bearers of Cosatu to intervene in the unions. If they are refused by the national leadership of the provincial leadership at a provincial level to intervene in the union whereby the union pela manje, they should be able to speak to members of that union. Because it is ourselves who gumashelwa thina there and there, members saying, "I skate samgcini organizer or union yethu na iyaphela nithini nina," and masifika la nampa yibo laba ontshalintshali noSidumo abadala ama division kulama union, hayi zibhekeni nina nani, and solve your problems. Yeah, noma ningaziqhwabanga izandla kuleyo nto kodwa niyizwa kahle. But I don't have that power. It's my wish. Because it's painful to see a union eating itself away until it finishes itself. So please, Makaban, let's do that. Let us consolidate our unions. Our second task, and we've been criticized here. They say, the national office bearers of Cosatu under the stewardship of Sidumo Dlamini has failed to implement the resolutions of 2012, have failed to implement the collective bargaining resolutions, have failed to unite Cosatu, have failed under the stewardship of Sidumo. Bese kuba nabantu abanye sebathi angibuyele eSwazini. Angaze ngizwe izinophobia njena. They want to personalize this thing to this leadership. If there are resolutions that have not been implemented, where were they supposed to be implemented? By whom? But we are not going to enter the blame game here. We mustn't. We mustn't enter the blame game. Let us fix the issues that have not been addressed for a while. So our task is to, at this Congress, look to those resolutions that have not been implemented and say, how then do we implement them going forward and stop this whole thing? All of you have said point blank clearly, if anybody was inviting you to join something that is called a united front, you have all refused. So let's forget about that. Let's look inside and build our COSA to implement those resolutions. Our third task, I know leaders here know how painful it is to lead an organization that is financially unstable. I would want to use that word because others have said we are broke. We are not broke. Cosatu is not broke. Cosatu appreciate that it had to use a lot of money on some of the things or many things that were not budgeted for, imposed by the conditions we have been going through. So leaders here will know how difficult it is to go and fundraise for an organization. And I must thank those who said, even if Cosatu is going through these difficulties, we shall support this Congress and pop out money to support this Congress. Labo soma business, nabanye njabanga individuals who have done that, thank you very much. And because we are transparent, we are circulating a list in the system here, you will see that. But our appreciation cannot be measured. I can guarantee you there was going to be a choice between two things. You pay the bonuses of the staff and you don't have a Congress. Or you have a Congress and you have a strike by the workers of Cosatu and all the other programs stop. We did not choose either of the two. We said we want our staff, our employees to be able to have their bonuses because they are due for their bonuses and they will have that. But we want a successful Cosatu Congress. Angazumimele ngadieni khona la abezwa labo bantu. They don't listen. You say to them, like any organization, Cosatu had to fundraise. They say, no, Cosatu was going, knocking to every business person, limping with a hat in hand, begging for money. That's not true. So we thank those who sponsored this Congress for it to be successful. We shall account for every cent in the CEC, or here even if you want us to do so. Asina mona, asina mahloni, ngokusho, sinjelo cha, basinikile imali, besifuna ukuthi le Congress iphumelele. But we also thank those unions of Cosatu, starting by saying all of them, because it is their affiliation fees that have also made this Congress to be possible. But we had to then go back to them and say, please, fagani more. And they did that, some of them, not all of them. And we understand that they would have all wished to make that contribution. But the squeeze our unions are going through is so painful. We know and appreciate that. But thank you very much, those of our unions. Some of them even sponsored these t-shirts we are wearing. So thank you very much for that. It shows that we are all committed to a united Cosatu and a Cosatu that is able to take the issues of the workers forward. Let us not betray those goodwill activities and commitments to the Federation. This is our Congress. Let us build our Cosatu. We will account to the workers on what we did over these 4 days that we'll be staying here. But I know one thing, we all have come here to build. Let us listen to one another. No one should feel that they were undermined at this Congress. Yabasebenzi. I even appeal to the two unions. I do not know whether there was an explanation, no, because I was out. Two unions here, which are not here. One of them writes us a letter. They say, GS acting, we are now withdrawing our participation to this Congress because you have said we must buy tables. And I consult with the leadership, which are the tables that are, I now recalled, okay, there's an exhibition outside. We're saying people must pay 3,000, those who will be displaying their stuff there. It's what is done to fundraise. Not a lot of money that comes out of that. But when we engage with the comrades, they say, no, maybe the letter was written wrongly. We felt that we should not come because we could not afford the donation you were asking us to donate. You know, the money that I've just spoken about. I said, but comrades, this is not new. We have done this before, and we don't kill anybody who is not able to get that money to Cosatu. Come to your Congress. They say the second reason we are unable to come to this Congress, we don't want to come because we believe this Congress will be like the Special National Congress. I said, but comrades, again, you are wrong. Why you saying that before you even come to that Congress? Come to that Congress. And if you think that it is something else that you didn't expect, you should be able to raise that matter inside. So these comrades are not here. They are very important. There may be a number that you sitting there can say, it's a small number, we don't care. It's a critical number in Cosatu because it represents members outside there. They ought to be here. This is the first day of Congress. They must come back tomorrow because everyone is here. You know this thing of sihlale sisakhe itulo sithi hayi sizongaya kwi-Congress. Sivumelane. The next thing, about 10 bayaya kwi-Congress, laba babili abasayi kwi-Congress. That's a problem. It's like a man who is foolish, who says to his friend, you know my friend, my family, my wife is so good like this as you see her. It's because I beat her every day. So they discuss and they agree. He says, oh, so you think my wife can respect me if I beat her also? The man says, yes, that's what I do with my wife. I beat her every day. Just watch me. As I go home, you will hear her cry. He goes, follows the man. The man comes to his house. He takes an old skin, beats the skin and tells his wife to cry. And he's not beating her, he's beating something else. And then this man says, oh yeah, he means it, it's true. Then he starts beating his own wife. That's a problem when we scheme on wrong things and say we shall boycott the Congress of Cosatu and we agree in a corner somewhere, and then tomorrow others change their mind and they don't tell you that our mind have changed. So those comrades must join this Congress tomorrow. Those who were not counted to have their credentials, because we are all here building our Cosatu. Futhi umoya muhle la kumnandi, akho umuntu othuka omunye, akho umuntu ozondo omunye. Sizokwakha eyethu iCosatu. We are building our own organization. At the end of the Congress, we'll be having one solid Cosatu. So let's do that. I invite all of you in opening this Congress, do exactly that. Let us build our federation. We have nothing else on our hands but this federation. Thanks to the former national office bearers of Cosatu, those who have been able to help us. I don't know how to thank those who were throwing stones at us from outside. Thanks to the former CEC leaders of Cosatu who came and spoke to us and guided us through and through these years of these difficulties. Thanks to the ANC which has stood and said, let's help Cosatu. Thanks to the South African Communist Party which has done the same. Today we are here saying to you, the workers, it's your Congress. Thanks to these comrades. All of you. Because this leadership collective, this one, was put by yourself firstly in 2009. The 6 of us. In 2012, you again reaffirmed us. We are here today. We are just -1. In the history of this federation, EP, you will correct me. In the history of this federation, I have not found a period where the leadership was able to stand together. For the period, the 6 of us have been able to stand together from 2009 to 2015. Now we're -1 of the due to the decision taken about a few months ago, 6 months ago. But the totality of these 2 consecutive terms, we have had a solid leadership of this federation that stood together. Nibabongele laba comrade lava. We want to thank our Central Executive Committee, all of them, for having worked with this leadership. Times were very difficult, sometimes were very nice, Mazia. You know that. There were very nice times of the CEC. There were very bad times in the CEC when we were dealing with the issues. So, as national office bearers, we thank the CEC that is of the leadership that is sitting here, of having carried and held the fort together through this difficult time. Here is your Cosatu. Decide what you do about her. Thank you very much for having trusted us. It has come to the point where our term will be ending here. It was a privilege. It was an opportunity given to us by members of this country. It will go in our hearts for a long time that there was a time when we were respected and being trusted by the workers of this country about their lives, about their situation that we shall lead. We have tried the best that was possible. We have succeeded in some instances. We have failed in some instances. Maybe we have failed more than we had succeeded, but we thank you for having afforded us that opportunity. It's something that doesn't come easy or to everybody. This Congress is therefore duly opened. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade President. Siyabonga. Siyabulela. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ngokel. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nahao. Comrade President, there's one thing you have not mentioned that is raised by about Cosatu in the very book you are referring to. They say Cosatu is paralyzed. I'm a mine worker myself. I know what is meant by paralysis. If it is referred to a human being, it means that person cannot be able to use his or her limbs. He cannot walk or she cannot walk. We came here walking. We were not carried. That's one thing you have forgotten. But I'm not going to go to another characterization that you know I give to that paralysis for the sake of this Congress. Having said that, Comrade Magwenju, your bag is here in front. Come and have your bag. We have identified it with some contents in there bearing your name. Come here and reclaim your bag, Comrade Magwenju. And there are other 2 bags. There are other 2 bags that are not claimed here. Unfortunately, we don't have names inside. But they must come, those comrades, and identify these 2 bags. And there is also a pair of spectacles here. The owner must come forward and claim this spectacle is Magwenchu. Here is your bag, comrade. Now, comrades, without any further waste of time, we are now going to invite the IEC to take us through the nomination process of the national office bearers. IEC. Kozobanje kubenje masitandaza kozobanje kubenje masitandaza oh masitandaza oh masitandaza oh masitandaza oh masitandaza. Thank you very much, comrades.
Good evening. My tasks at the moment is to provide a report on the nomination elections 2015. The Electoral Commission was appointed by Cosatu to administer the election of national office bearers during the Cosatu National Congress 2015. In accordance with the procedures and guidelines for the election of Cosatu National Office Bearers, candidate nominations opened on the 5th of November 2015 and closed at 1600 on the 15th of November 2015. An audit was undertaken in accordance with the procedures, and I'm now able to report that candidates below qualify as nominated candidates for the respective national office bearer positions. First, as President, Stumo Dlamini from Nahawu. First Deputy President, Chocho James from Num. Second Deputy President, Zingiswa Lossi from Popkru. General Secretary, Becky Nchalichali from Sepwawu. The position of Deputy General Secretary, there are two candidates, Soli Petu from Satu and Paka Oscar from Denosa. And lastly, Treasurer Frida Westhuizen from Sektwu. Evidently, the positions of President, First Deputy President, Second Deputy President, General Secretary and Treasurer are uncontested. The position of Deputy General Secretary is to be contested by Soli Petu and Paka Oscar. Thank you.
Then, what does the Congress say? Let me have my paper so that I not make a mistake. Is that Samu? That one? Okay. Okay. Clothing and style come in. Clothing and textile.
President, we need a moment on this, so if you could just bear with us. We think you may need to invite some other affiliates in the meantime. We apologize for this.
Thank you, Clothing. NUM?
Thank you, President, in supporting the request. We want to just emphasize this. It is important that we close the nominations but allow a space for the other position where there is more than one candidate. Then, President, we also want to touch on another matter here. You know, the universal slogan of an injury to one is an injury to all must find true expression in this Congress. Now, the President, in his address to this Congress, raises the difficulty that one of our own is going through and has refused for his soul to be bought. Now, when somebody does this, there are consequences for his family. It is then that we, as revolutionaries, have a responsibility to rise and think about his family. We want to request this Congress, President, as a matter of urgency, that we have a voluntary donation for the President of Limusa so that we thank him for avoiding his soul to be bought.
FAU?
Thank you, Comrade President. As FAU, we want to propose to reopen the nomination. Do you hear me, Comrade President? Comrade President,
I'm listening. If you are through, I'm still having some speakers on the list. Okay. Address what you want to address.
No, Comrade President, it's simple. As far we want to reopen the nomination.
Okay, as a chair, I have heard what you are proposing. Can I go to other affiliates and hear what they have got to say? Sakau.
Thanks, President. In the spirit of building unity and cohesion within the Federation, we think affiliates that need that opportunity should be given, but there should be a limit on time. We cannot wait until Friday or Thursday. We propose that nominations should close at 10 a.m. in the morning. We second FAU. Thanks.
Okay, I hear now you are seconded, FAU. Can I hear the rest of the affiliates that I have here? I still have 3. Municipal workers.
No, thanks, President. In line with the Constitution, President, more specifically on clause 3.54, which reflect the following. I quote, nominations for NOB's positions have been to be submitted to an independent body appointed for the purpose of receiving such nominations. We need to acknowledge, President, that the IEC, through one Stuart Murphy, circulated an email to all affiliates on the 5th of November and 12th of November, advising affiliates then in terms of the closing, the beginning and the closing of nominations. And the last part, if you read 3.56 of the same constitutions, it says if only one candidate is nominated for a position, then no ballot is necessary and that candidate must be declared duly elected. So as some who are moving that those candidates in line with this constitutional clause who has been nominated and are not contested, we must then close those nominations. And we then deal only with the DGS position. Thank you.
Satau.
Thank you very much, President. I think some, they were quite specific on the matter, and we want to say that we took special interest on the fact that the DGS position has to remain opened, probably until tomorrow around 12, so that we find each other. The rest, President, including Naleo Guyo, they have to be closed now. Thank you very much. You are now given more powers.
Pop crew.
Thank you, President. Without much motivation and so on, we want to second the closure of nominations where there is no contest and remain with the position which has got more than one candidate. Thank you.
South African Clothing and Textile Workers Union.
Thank you, comrades. Thank you, President. President, we don't want to delay this Congress further. We want to concur with the comrades that have seconded that all those who have been...
Clothing and textile, can you hold? What is it for? Is it a point of order or what? I don't think there is a point of order because I'm allowing those who raise their hands to speak. They can't be out of order. Can you lower your board? Continue clothing and textile.
Thank you, President. We want to second the Satau Pope crew. We believe they are correct. We only open where there is two people who are contesting that position. And we accept also the timing when to close it. Thank you, President.
Nihau, come in. Yeah, I've seen Sipau.
President, sifuna ukwaleka umsundulo. Siqinisekise into yokuba le position iyahamba. Kuzo zonke iposition apho ngekho contest sithi masivalwe njengangoku. Kule position kukho abantu ababini okanye more than one. We agree with Pope Crew and Satau and the Clothing and Textile. As the National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union, we think that it is correct and that's a route to be taken by this Congress. Thank you very much.
South African Democratic Teachers Union.
Thank you, President. As the teachers, we rise to agree and second the unions that are saying that the uncontested positions be closed, remain like that as uncontested, but that one, the position of the Deputy General Secretary, remain open. But further, Comrade President, as the teachers, we are further proposing a time frame to say the closure to the nomination to that position be set at 2 hours from now. Thank you.
Yo. Sipau.
Thanks, Mongameli. We'll be quick. We worried the only thing that you want to take from, we're not going to align ourselves with a 2-hour time frame. Because our aim is to try to massage each other and get around the nomination of one position, which is the Deputy General Secretary. So we need more time than that. We're flexible down to 10 o'clock tomorrow. Then we can try to find each other within that time. But we close all other positions that are nominated unopposed. Thanks.
Thank you. Can I go back to Fau and Sakau? What is your response to this plea that the other affiliates are making?
It's foul, President. May we be understood. The clause that is being referred to, clause 3.5, relates to all positions, be it the President up to the Deputy General Secretary, inclusive of other positions of national office bearers. 3.5.5 refers to these positions, meaning all of them. The Food and Allied Workers Union President seems to understand that there is actually one motion. The one motion is that reopen nominations. Some have got interest in one position. Some have got interest in all positions. And therefore, there seems to be more about up to when should these nominations remain reopened. We can't have partial reopening of the nominations. We are proposing that, and we're still of the firm belief that we should reopen nominations, and this nomination relates to all the positions in this particular provision of the Constitution. Thank you, President.
Sakau.
Siyabonga Mongameli. Ours is a very simple explanation. Before receiving communication from the IEC, we received guidelines from the head office of the Federation. Amongst issues that were raised was the fact that we have a right to reopen nominations on Congress. Obviously, if the majority doesn't agree, we cannot force. But the point that we want to make, we had not sent our nominations as Sakau. We want a leadership that will enjoy the credibility and support of all affiliates. We don't want to be closed out from nominating in this Congress. We raised that issue with the IEC as well, and they responded in the manner in which we did. We plead to comrades who have moved and seconded that let's allow all affiliates to nominate and close nominations at that time. Thanks, President.
Municipal Workers Union.
No, President, I think we are supposed to guide the Congress. We have actually reflected then in terms of the constitutional requirement. And those that are actually pleading in terms of us not. Are you there, President?
Yes, you are addressing the Congress, actually.
Yes, President. So they are unable then to reflect in terms of the constitutional clause that persuade the Congress then to reopen. The Constitution is clear. If it's one candidate that has been nominated and there's no contest, then that will be regarded as closed. That's the requirement, President, and we need to rule then in terms of that particular clause. The Constitution is clear on that.
Okay, comrades. Now, as the chair, this is what I have to say. There is an overwhelming support for closing nominations on the positions that are uncontested in terms of the IEC report. There's an overwhelming support on that. However, there is this view from two unions, FAU and SACAU, that says no, reopen. As a mine worker, numbers are telling me that those who say close those positions that are uncontested are a majority here. Therefore, that view of the majority shall stand. Comrades, I see FAU is raising the board. No. Just be patient, comrade. Just be patient. Don't rush. Don't rush. Don't rough handle anyone who has a view. FAU, you are not persuaded by what I have said, obviously. Can I confirm that? FAU, you disagree with the summary I have put forward. Is that the case?
Yes, President.
Thank you very much. SACAU, you also disagree with this summary I have put forward. Can I put you also on record? SACAU,
President, put us on record. We are not persuaded. We are still seeking for unity and cohesion from your indulgence.
okay, comrades. Then what effectively means here is that there are two motions now. Now, there's one way to break that stalemate. There's a motion that says, I want the acting general secretary to record these two motions correctly. Put your boards down, Satau, please. We don't have to. Is that Samu or Sakau? I don't see your board clearly. Is that Samu or Sakau? Okay, take the mic and speak.
No, President, don't take us back because I think Constitution is clear in terms of 11.43. It's under headline of decision making. 11.43 says if there are two motions, a motion will lapse if it is not supported by a simple majority of participants.
Good.
So two affiliates are not simple majority. Can we close this issue?
Okay. I have Limusa Satau. I don't see that union at the back there. What is that union there? Oh, it's Limusa. And then I will have, don't whistle, don't whistle. I will look both sides. Teachers, you are on the list. NUM, you are on the list. Nihau, you are on the list. Fau, you don't have to whistle. That raise your board. Fau, you are on the list.
Comrade President.
Sasbo, you are also on the list. Then Limusa, take the floor.
Thank you, Comrade President. Comrade President, we want to support SAMU and also add that on the same page, with the powers vested in you, President, you are empowered not just to make a summary, but to make a ruling. And it is our understanding that you have made a ruling already. And if then we are correct that you've made a ruling, it can't be that in the same meeting a ruling is made and then rescinded. So we are appealing to you, President, to stick to the ruling. And the constitution is clear as to what happens to a person in a meeting, to a delegate in the meeting, who is then opposed to a ruling of a chairperson. Can I just read 11.5.1? The ruling of the chairperson is final. And then it continues to say what then needs to happen if that ruling is not respected. I thank you, President.
Satau.
Comrade President, we want to raise an unpopular view and be a little bit controversial on this matter. Given the track record of the Federation and where we are coming from, you are likely on this matter to have a court battle, which will want you to prove the simple majority.
Okay.
We had an experience when we took a decision on the former General Secretary, where majority unions agrees. Then the court have to ask us, can you prove the simple majority? We couldn't, because they wanted numbers. It is therefore correct, Comrade President, what is alluding based on your powers. However, on this matter, there are two motions.
Yes.
Having two motions, Comrade President, want to plead with those comrades that we must simply go for the vote in order to defend ourselves tomorrow on this particular matter. We don't want comebacks. Okay. And we should not be afraid to vote because we are going to win this particular matter. Thank you very much.
South African Democratic Teachers Union. Sakau, you are on the list.
No, President. We want to agree as teachers with the unions that are saying we've got nothing to lose if we were to vote on the two motions. Okay. So we agree that on all other positions that are not being contested, they remain as closed. But only on the DGS position, then those two motions should stand and we vote on that. Let's not be afraid to vote, comrades. We have numbers. What are we afraid of?
NUM?
Thank you, President. President, the mistake that we make is that we read the Constitution selectively. Now, you start with decision-making, and then 11.4.1, but 11.4.2 clearly stipulates the motion is carried if a simple majority of participants vote, that's the key word, vote in favor. Now, we want to second and echo the same sentiments. Please do not be afraid to apply the Constitution. Let's vote.
Okay. Now,
Thanks, President. We want to start by cautioning the Congress that the Congress must not force you to make a ruling. Because in terms of the Constitution, once you make a ruling, those who act against the Constitution suggests a particular process. So I want to caution the Congress because we are forced to make a ruling. However, as Nehau, we want to support the affiliates that says, President, the motion on the basis of motion, but the motion must be structured as follows.
wait a bit, Nehau. Thank you, comrades. Thank you. Okay. Comrade, we want, first of all, to finish off this list that I have noted. Then it's your turn, Fau, now. I don't say hi. They have raised their hand. Now, were you not through? Okay, I thought you concluded. Sorry for that, Nehau.
Sure, President. No, President, we are dislodged by the arrival of the ANC President.
Okay.
Yes.
Bear with me.
However, President, we support those who suggest that the Congress must agree to vote. And the motion, President, must be such that those who have proposed closure and open on one, and those who suggest to open. That's what the spirit of the motion must be.
Okay. Thank you, Nehau. Sasbo.
Thank you, President.
I think as SASBO we would like to align ourselves with what was said by Satau and how, as well as Saktu, that we close nominations into those positions that were not contested and open only that of the Deputy General Secretary. And further, President, we like to say, don't be afraid. If we have to go for a vote, let it be, because we are not prepared to sit for another 8 hours debating whether to vote or not to vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Fau, come in.
Comrade President, thank you. Comrades are right. If there are two motions, there has to be voting. We cannot accept that the table must decree a ruling whilst there are clear two motions. We can't accept that. Okay. Now, yes, we need to vote. However, the voting must be credible, must be constitutional, must be respectable. And therefore, Comrade President, because this issue relates to the issue of the leadership positions, which are clearly entrenched in the Constitution, this voting must be through a secret ballot.
Acting General Secretary. Acting General Secretary.
Amandla. Comrade Deputy President, I were to speak on the emotion and the manner in which we were quoting the Constitution. But other comrades have clarified in terms of how a decision is taken in Cosatu in regard to the majority. I think NUM has clarified very well. It is not the majority of affiliates. It is the majority of participants by vote. That's what I wanted to clarify. It seems to me, comrade, that we've passed that there's an agreement that there are two motions. The second motion, which was talking about reopening of all the position, I didn't get the time until when. Remember the other first one, it says the uncontested position must be closed, but reopen the position that is contested of the DGS until 10 o'clock tomorrow. That's motion number one. Motion number two was that we must, all the position, the nomination must be open. I thought they are going to come up with time so that we conclude the motion as we understand them. The question of how we then vote is another matter. We must close the motion and understand what the motions are. And then come back to the motion that FAO is raising in terms of how we should take the decision and open to the House and take that particular decision moving forward. That's what I wanted to talk about, Comrade Deputy President.
Thank you, Bratiger. I wanted to close on that, Comrade, provided that these three affiliates that I still have on my list agree that we should handle this matter in the manner you have outlined. I have Pope, Cosatu, and Dinosa. Are you agreeing with this, Pop Crew? Or let me not speak for you.
Better not. Thank you, President. President, we are going to speak precisely in what Acting General Secretary of Cosatu have just presented. Indeed, President, let me start by saying as Pop Crew, we agree with the affiliates that says all the uncontested position must be closed. And in terms of time, we agree that the position that is contested, the one of the Deputy General Secretary, should be tomorrow morning by 10 o'clock. President, in relation to how are we going to conduct our voting, please pardon us for some other people's ignorance. The Constitution is very clear. Go to page 34, clause 5.6.3. It reads thus: "5.62. The decisions are made by show of hands or by a ballot if the meeting so decides. Therefore, as Pop Crew, we are proposing that the vote should be conducted by show of hands." Thank you.
Sakao. Sanuphakamisa late maqabani izawungapheli. Okay. Sakao, what is that? Is that Limusa? That board there, is it Limusa? Yeah, I can't see clearly there. Okay. Take the platform, come.
Thanks, President. President, as shop steward, we need to be worried if people will read. I'm not sure whether they are guessing or they are reading. It is important when you read, you must check the heading. Very, very important. The heading that we are talking about here is 3.5, which says election of national office bearers. And it goes to say National Congress will elect people on the following positions. I won't bore you in terms of naming those positions. We know that there was a letter written by the Acting General Secretary, but that it was the instruction of the CC, which does not reflect anyway. I think you were just trying to manage the Constitution instead of applying it. The clause that we are talking about here to say nomination will be submitted to the electoral, it means in the Congress, the nominations will be submitted to the electoral officer in the Congress, not anywhere somewhere. It's what the Constitution says. That's why we are saying it's important that you must read the heading, because just now somebody is quoting in page 34. That is the guidance of a provincial Congress. Parties bring it here, and we will leave that particular comrade alone. So, Comrade Esaka, we are saying, let's apply the Constitution. Let us not manage it. Let's apply it as it is. And, Comrade, this thing of voting, Comrade, does not teach us anything. It only reduces us to be a voting cows. And we are the shop steward. We cannot be reduced to be a voting cows. by leaders.
Okay.
If you are not afraid of anything, you are not manipulating anything, allow
I
the
see.
secret ballot to
I
take
see
place.
There are two boards from Satau and teachers. Is that a point of order, Satau? Samu, I have also noted you.
Ingxaki mongameli kukunyamezela sithukwa sihleli sijongile simamele kuthiwa sisi-voting cows. Asoka bithethe loo nto kuthi sifuna ke ayiwithdrawe loo nto kuba ayibonakalisi imbeko entlanganisweni. It is that point, Comrade President, that we are saying there is a point of order.
Okay.
We can't be insulted.
Okay. Teachers, were you going to speak on the same? Teachers, let me hear you. I will address it quickly after the teachers. Yeah, I'm going to say that now. Okay. Teachers, before you speak, let me address this point of order raised by Satau to Sakau comrade there. Comrade, I think the transport union is correct when raising that point of order. Nobody is a voting cow here. You are all delegates. Therefore, withdraw that comment unconditionally.
Thank you, Comrade President. I think as a worker, I might have a problem of understanding what is normally called a figure of speech.
Comrade Sakau, withdraw. We understand what you mean when you say others are voting cow. Let me explain the meaning of that as a mine worker. You are saying these comrades cannot apply their brains. Withdraw
that. Comrade President, I'm saying the issue here, it's understanding the figure of speech. Nobody said people are voting cows.
I don't want debate. I want you to withdraw that comment.
We are not going to withdraw, Comrade President.
Okay. I will put you aside. You have defied the order or the ruling of the chairperson. Dinosa, let me hear you. Okay, teachers, sorry, man. Sorry. I'm rushing now. Sorry, teachers.
No, thank you, Comrade President. All we're requesting is that when comrades speak to this Congress, they must not mislead us. Decision making is 5.6 as captured on page 33 to page 34. Number 6, on page 34, that is where it begins to speak about provincial Congress. So what comrades have raised about show of hands is correct, and we can't allow this Congress to be misled in our presence.
Okay, comrades, what we are going to do now, Bob Crow, bear with me here. We have noted as the table that there are two motions. We will address those motions later on. But at this point, comrade, I think, Comrade President, want the President to address.
all.
Limusa, we will keep you in abeyance for now. There's an issue we want to clarify. We want to put on record that there are two motions here. There is no question about that.
Comrade President, it's an order, President. It's an order, Comrade President.
Is this Samu?
It's Limusa, President, it's an order.
Let me hear the order.
Comrade President, the constitution that we are all trying our level best to respect says that the ruling of the chairperson is final. And then it continues to say that if any delegate refuses to obey the chairperson's ruling, a vote may be taken by the meeting to deem the member guilty of misconduct. Now, I would want to hear, as Limusa, we want to argue that the president needs to proceed and apply the constitution.
Comrade Limusa, we hear what you are saying, but we will come back to that issue later. At this point in time, we want to allow the president of the ANC to address the Congress. And I'm not wrong in doing that. We will come back to that issue. You see, I am a chairperson that refused to be angry, even when I'm provoked. And I'm right in doing so, because if I can choose to be angry, I will collapse this meeting. Comrade President, can you come over to the stage?
Amandla, Amandla, qina msebenzi qina, qina msebenzi zonqoba qina. Thank you very much, Comrade President. And thanks to Congress for not objecting for our intervention. Because remember, in the morning, during the day, the President came, respecting us to address the Congress at the agreed to time. And because we were still dealing with the other matters that time, he could not, because he had to go back to Lutuli House to deal with ANC work. And we thank you for having understood that. And now we thank you for even not objecting for us to interrupt a very important discussion, because we want to unite this Cosatu, to allow the president of the ANC, who does not need much of an introduction to Cosatu, because he has been with us many, many years back, himself as a trade unionist, but as a leader in the African National Congress, has participated in the building of Cosatu unions. Those who are here, Babu Stalin, Babu Mchali, you will know the role the president has played in the history of Cosatu in building the trade unions in South Africa. We want to welcome the president, who is the leader of the African National Congress, as elected in the last Mangaung Conference of the African National Congress, the second term, that time, which is the current term now, because he was initially elected at Mangaung, at Polokwane, as the president of the ANC. Before that, we all know he was the deputy president of the ANC, whilst at the same time serving the country in government. He's the president of the African National Congress, the leader of the alliance. And these workers, Msholozi, are prepared to listen to the wisdom of the African National Congress on how we shall be able to overcome the challenges we face as workers in South Africa. I therefore want to welcome you as you come over.
Gubi, 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 oh, siyaya, siyaya. Sithi gubi, 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 siyaya.
Oh, siyaya. No mabesi tubula, besbulala, besibopa siyaya. No mabesi tubula, besbulala, besibopa siyaya. No magubi siyaya, siyaya, siyaya. No magubi siyaya, siyaya, siyaya. No mabesi tubula, besbulala, besibopa siyaya. No mabesi tubula, besbulala, besibopa siyaya. No magu. Amandla! Awethu! Matla! Yarona! Matimba! Yayina! All power! All power! Thank you very much, comrades. Thank you very much, President of Cosatu. I want to say I'm not going to be very long because I'm on my way to another country, to Angola, this evening. I was supposed to have departed at 7. So I had thought if I'd come in the morning, I was going to be very long for good reasons, but no, I will be reasonably long. Comrade Chairperson of the session, President of Cosatu, Comrade Tumodlamini, Acting General Secretary, Comrade Peggy Chalinjali, all national office bearers, members of the Cosatu Central Committee, leadership of all alliance, all the affiliate unions, General Secretary of the SACP, Comrade Blade Nzimande, leadership of the ANC present here, leadership of SANCO, distinguished guests, comrades, delegates. Receive my revolutionary greetings on behalf of the entire membership and the leadership of the glorious movement, the African National Congress. The National Congress is convened
under the theme Unity and Cohesion of Cosatu to advance the National Democratic Revolution. The theme is most appropriate because the unity of Cosatu is imperative so that the Federation can play its role as the spear that fights for workers and which protects the advances of their interests. Cosatu must emerge from this Congress stronger than it is now at the beginning of Congress. That is the challenge that all delegates face today. How do we work to unite Cosatu? This means delegates must put the interests of the Federation and workers first in deliberations and in the focus of the Congress. In this way, Cosatu and workers will emerge as winners at the end of the Congress. The correctness of this theme is also grounded on the fact that the advancement of the National Democratic Revolution in South Africa requires the unity and cohesion of the alliance and all its individual components. Let me re-emphasize the importance of unity. In July this year, we held an extraordinary alliance summit which took place over 5 full days and which was convened specially to deal with the unity of our enduring alliance and all its individual components. We convened that summit because we believed that there had been various worrying political developments, some of which relate directly to what we think each other's individual organizational role must be in this alliance. We felt the need to deeply reflect on the strategic relevance and importance of this alliance in our society, and also think of ways to reassert its leadership role in our country. We need to continuously reflect on the concrete material conditions that necessitated the formation of the separate components of the alliance. Indeed, it is important to stress the point that ours are separate organizations that entered into an alliance because of historic conditions. We must ask ourselves whether those conditions still prevail today. If they do or do not, then we must define the new conditions, if that's what we believe, and determine the basis and place of our organizations and the alliance itself. This exercise is important because we can never achieve the genuine unity of the alliance if we do not fully comprehend where it comes from, and worse, if we doubt its relevance in present-day South Africa. When we do this exercise, we must bear in mind the instructive words of our late President O.R. Tambo, which we all know, when observing the 60th anniversary of the SACP in 1981. And you must know that we repeat these for our own sake, as the pastor will do every Sunday to his congregation. Matthew 17 is Lilo. Abasho ukuthi ngoba sakhuluma ngayo ngelinye ilanga, we can no longer. Because fanele ukuthi sifuselele amakholwa. This is what our president says, and I quote, "Ours is not merely a paper alliance created at conference tables and finalized through the signing of documents and representing only an agreement of leaders. Our alliance is a living organism that has grown out of struggle. We have built it out of our own separate and common experiences." Close quote. In order to appreciate the value of our alliance, these words of Comrade O.R. Tambo must be read together with the equally powerful words of his predecessor, President Chief Albert Luthuli, who said, when referring to Cosatu and Cosatu's forerunner, that, and I quote, "SACTU is the spear and ANC the shield." Close quote. If you take these two quotations from two different presidents of the ANC, it gives us a complete meaning. It gives us an understanding that our coming together was not something that we sat and thought we should negotiate, we should have an alliance. And clever people came and said, yes, now there is an alliance. It is born out of struggle. Having come from a long distance, when originally these two, if we leave the workers for a moment, there had been suspicions. People worked very hard to ensure that both organizations appreciate the importance of working together. And of course, the workers became an important factor as well. That's why, in their minds, it's not an alliance that you could produce a contract that you sign on this date. It's an alliance that emerged out of struggle that has helped us to be where we are today. That's why Luthuli says, one of these two particularly, the National Liberation Movement and the Federation, one is a spear, one is a shield. You know what these two do, the shield and the spear. One is offensive, the other is defensive. With one you attack, with one you stop the enemy. These two ought to be always together. Because if we don't have one, we are in trouble. You might not have the shield and have the spear. We are in trouble, but your trouble is measurable. If you don't have the spear, you have just the shield. My babo, we are in trouble. Because uzawuhlanganisa njalo nje boze bakuchana. So they can't part ways. It's absolutely important. It's an understanding that we should have about the alliance. It's not to please individuals, but it's to achieve the interests of the people of our country. So it's not about what mood do I have today as a president of the ANC, and then I can say what I like about the alliance. That's not the issue. If that happens, it will mean I'm a little bit ill-disciplined, because I'm moving against the very essence of the alliance. I can't have too much strong views about individual comrades, because then I will be misleading. It's important that we have a view of the alliance correctly. We can have difficulties, but let us protect the alliance. After all, it is a unique alliance in the world. Only in South Africa we have this kind of an alliance, and that's why we have had successes in our revolution. And that's why those who oppose us gang together, and they will always gang together against us. And we need to be united to fight that onslaught. All these point to the fact that the alliance partners need each other, and that the relationship is a symbiotic one. Our view as the leader of the alliance is therefore that the alliance remains as relevant to present-day South Africa as it was before 1994, if not even more now, because the onslaught is big. Our organizations must play different but complementary roles towards the achievement of our common objectives. These common objectives and shared dreams are derived from the basic policy document upon which the alliance is based, the Freedom Charter, which was adopted 60 years ago by the Congress of the People in Kliptown. As we said recently, at the National General Council of the ANC, it is important to always remember that the ANC is a multi-class national liberation movement advancing the national democratic revolution, the primary objective of which is the establishment of a national democratic society, which is mainly defined by non-racialism, non-sexism, democracy, and prosperity. It is also important to reaffirm that the ANC remains biased to the working class, and therefore a disciplined force of the left. The fact that it is a multi-class movement does not contradict this latter point. To me, it is always important, comrades, to understand ourselves sufficiently. The ANC fought to liberate this country. the ANC fought to bring about national liberation, to bring about democracy and freedom, and to be defined from that nationalistic point of view. Once the ANC has brought democracy, the ANC has arrived. How it handles the situation is a very serious matter that we need to look at. In other words, in the democracy of the ANC, every citizen has a right to vote and to be voted for. So the majority rules. That's democracy. That is conceptualized within the broader system that we operate under. That we operate under. The ANC does not change the system. It comes and defines how this nation, among nations, is going to operate. Democracy, where the majority rules. Deal with matters, having done all of that, to be biased to the poor. That whatever we do must address the plight of the poor within that context. What is this context? It's capitalism. We operate under capitalism. The system. The national democratic democracies are not the system, are some system within a system. Nizwa kahle? That's why, if that is the situation, the crisis after crisis of the system will affect you, whether you like it or not. Because if there is economic crisis, it affects everyone within the system, global system that is operating. In other words, it's a class-divided society. The ANC does not get rid of classes. It creates a situation where there should be some harmony within the living contradictions to try to balance things. You can't go further. That's why we call it the broad church. Very difficult to balance it. But that is the job of the ANC. To bring about a democratic society where all rights, all people have equal rights for everything. We improve education, we do everything. And if you can look at the record since 1994, which we are going to present to the country, particularly next year, because we want next year to give a report, what have we done ever since, under difficult conditions. But that's what the ANC stands for. That's what we agreed, that we will all fight together as the alliance to achieve that. And we have achieved it. But I'm saying it is situated within a system of capitalist class. Crucial to understand this. Because at times, the manner in which we approach matters, we forget that. Because we've been together too much. Some think that ANC was fighting for socialism. No, there are people who are fighting for socialism. ANC is fighting for national democracy. SACP, on the other hand, is the vanguard party of the working class, advancing a socialist revolution aimed at creating a socialist system which is characterized by the dictatorship of the proletariat. That's what the party fights for. We are aware of it from the ANC. And the party is aware of the ANC's destination. Now, let me say something further here. In other words, socialist society, which will be socialism, is still a class-divided society. One class, what has happened is that the dictatorship overall is now of the workers, not of the bourgeoisie in socialist society. And the aim of the party is to deal with class divisions and finish them within the socialist society. And those who know it will say, they say, from each according to his or her ability, to each according to the work performed. That's socialism. Now, how do you deal with dictatorship? Let me go to the other class that I talked about, capitalist class. It dictates, and at times you don't feel it, at times you accept it as a reality. It dictates everything every day. Dictatorship. Who decides the price of bread? Is there any meeting that sits and says now it must cost so much? It is dictated to by the capitalist class. They decide now bread must be 20 cents. One day they decide it must now be 25. There's no meeting. If the price of oil goes up, they decide to raise the price of petrol. There's no meeting. Whether you like it or not, you must fill up your car, you must buy bread. As is the dictatorship, in a simplified fashion. The thinking is for a class, is dominated by the class interests. Somebody must make profit, and therefore somebody decides. Different from the proletariat's dictatorship. Well, that dictatorship is to get rid of class-divided society. And therefore it looks how do you socialize the means of industry so that they belong to the people, not to individuals. And they get rid of it. Socialist society is quite a robust system because it has this element of dictatorship. They are leading up to once the classes have been finished. We have reached the stage of the communist system, communist society. In other words, we have reached a classless society. That is the struggle that Ombomv or Ompepeta are fighting. In other words, to get rid once and for all of class antagonism in the world. That's what the Communist Party fights for. where it is characterized by them saying, from each according to his ability or her ability, and to each according to his or her needs. That's when I say, ngojabula mphephethe manifike sengikhehla, ngoba ngobe ngasasebenzi, ngobe senginida nje, ngikhangeze nje. Mangisekhona ngisadla amabele. This is important to appreciate. Because if we appreciate the complexity and therefore the difficulties that face us, you know, if we are in the alliance, those who don't want to be finished are going to fight very hard. Because to them, the system that I'm talking about is the wrong one. Now, what does that mean? You can't, therefore, if you understand who is the enemy, you can't have the luxury of disunity, fighting among ourselves. You then don't understand the enemy if you do so. You don't understand the enemy. Because if you do that, if you fight among yourselves, you are weakening yourselves. And the enemy gets an upper hand. And you are going to have difficulties for a long, long time to come. It's absolutely important for the alliance to understand that. I'm saying this because we could not have come into alliance if we did not understand that. We could not have worked with the party if we did not understand that. Or the party could not have worked with us. Or the federation could not have worked with us. All of us ought to understand this. You can't have a luxury of disunity. By so doing, you defeat yourself before you're defeated by your opponents. Cosatu is a progressive and revolutionary trade union and trade union federation fighting for and defending the rights of workers and aiming to protect workers from the super exploitation by the capitalist class. It continues to fight for the rights of the workers, probably almost in the same position as the ANC. It is situated within the system, the capitalist system. So its job is to fight for the workers all the time. The workers are important for Cosatu. But how far do you go with the workers? Now I'm talking as partly a trade unionist. You can't discriminate among the workers. Can't. For an example, you can't say the worker who is employed is more important than the worker who is unemployed. Because we are talking about the working class. We are not talking about the working class. It is therefore very important because there are workers who are working, who are in bad conditions, etc., etc. But there are workers who are not employed, who are even in a worse position. What is our view on the unemployed? The workers, part of the working class. Can we put them aside and say these ones are not working, they are not important? What about the working class? The totality of the working class. I think the task of the unions is even more complex today because mechanization, computerization, IT has complicated the position of the poorest of the workers, the unskilled, or tatalapa begalapa. They're in a worse position. Today, they no longer go to factories and stand at the gate and say, I'm looking for a job. They must read a newspaper and see the advertisement. If I can't read, how do I look for a job? So you have a mass of workers who are in fact in the unemployed, unemployable in the definition of today. What do we say to those poor workers? I haven't listened to resolutions that the unions take about those ones. We have tended to concentrate to the working class, even to protect them against those who are not working. And if I had time, I'll debate the issue as a worker. But all I'm saying is that we are doing all of that because we are situated within the capitalist class. And that was the reason why there was a birth of a communist party or Marxist parties who said we can't keep the workers in this position forever. They need to be liberated. They need to turn around things and become the ones who are dictators to finish the class division in society. So that whether we are working or not working, if we are a worker, you have same equal rights like any citizen in the globe. And the wealth of the world looks after its people rather than few individuals. That's what made the communists to say, we are there for the vanguard of the workers. Abayikhethelanga nje ngoba bethanda abasebenzi because the workers are wearing nice red things. No. It is the history, the scientific history that positioned them at that point. And that's why the relations, therefore, between the party in particular and the revolutionary and progressive unions ought to be perfect. And if we appreciate that, I'm telling you, we will move faster to a final destination. All of this, I'm saying, comrades, it needs a conscious working class. It does not mean because you are a worker, by virtue of being a worker, then you are revolutionary. Not at all. You need conscientization so that you work for your success. And if you are not very conscious, you are going to have it very difficult to organize workers because it doesn't tell you what we are doing. I'm sure many of you have started unions from nothing and organized very powerful unions. Those who have done so, they will know what work you take. And I'm saying this because, to me, organizing the workers is more important than anything, than debating differences in politics. Organizing workers and uniting them is absolutely critical. Even if you differ, that's one thing. If you believe in the union, you understand what the unions face. You can't wish them, when they are united, to divide them. In my view, there is something wrong with you as a unionist. The unions must be united. You can differ because others will be workerist. But no, thina singeni politics change kwi-factory floor only. Bayeke labo. Find time to conscientize them that at the end, We've got to find a way to change the system for the better. And that workers, if they are strong and united, they can face and deal with the system. It's important for us to understand this because it's going to help us not to do politics instead of doing union work. Separate that, and you can do both, but know where you do politics and where you do union work. Can't bundle it together. It's very important. And you should know who are your real friends and comrades. Comrades, there is another formation. Lastly, SANCO is a civic movement and a critical component of civil society which mobilizes and organizes communities behind their bread and butter issues. It is absolutely important for SANCO to understand this. Comrades, we ought to pay sufficient attention to this question of the separate but complementary roles each alliance partner must play in accelerating the pace towards the creation of a society truly based on the Freedom Charter. That's what we do. If our friends tell us that they are still going forward, well, they're our friends. We'll be very keen to visit them where they will be. Maybe we'll arrive there and stay, if it is what they describe. For an example, Cosatu is not and has never been a political party. It is a trade union federation that has got a clear responsibility to advance workers' interests and defend their rights. This does not mean Cosatu must not pursue a narrow. This means that Cosatu must not pursue a narrow workerist agenda that is totally devoid of any appreciation of the broader political context and economic systems. And that's what differentiates Cosatu from other federations, because it does have political understanding of the social situation. But how do you pursue that? Do you pursue it by almost believing that Cosatu is a political party? No. You know exactly what to do. In the olden days, we said to the workers, you are here at the factory floor. Go home, deal with the social situation, join the political party. And it was clear, you'll differentiate these two and make a good contribution. Because if we sort of make these overlap, you mislead people. You start talking about the Socialist Party, etc., whilst you are a trade union, in a different way. And udukisa abasebenzi, baduka abasebenzi baphele nya, bayovuka kwenye political party abangayaziyo. But workers at this point in history, especially given the economic climate, and globally, where inclusive economic growth and new jobs remain elusive, while existing jobs are threatened in some sectors. Workers clearly need a strong, united, and focused Cosatu. And Cosatu is the real home of the workers. It is in this context that we must emphasize that Cosatu must rise above the challenges it is confronted with today and remain strong and united in the interest of the thousands of workers who see in it as the indispensable defender of their hard-won rights and conditions. We call on all affiliate unions of Cosatu to do everything possible to build and defend the unity of Cosatu and make it the fighting force and it has been since its establishment in 1985. This Congress must ensure that Cosatu emerges from this Congress more united and stronger than ever before. Comrades, a bit about balance of forces. Last week we met as former liberation movements of Southern Africa in Maputo, Mozambique. We reflected on serious challenges facing the former liberation movements in the continent. The summit reminded us that unity is paramount, given the balance of forces that are stacked against the liberation movement in the continent. The progressive forces in SADC resolved to work closely together and to also promote unity within the various movements in the continent so that the forces that seek to divide are unable to achieve that objective. This means that petty squabbles within the mass democratic movement must not be entertained. Political maturity is critical. Within our own country, we have a mission, and that is to achieve full economic emancipation, building on the political freedom we gained in 1994. Comrades, there are three key things that I think all of us should remember. Three things that make a country strong, a state strong. One, it is the political power. And you must understand the political power, how to use it. Because if you don't, you could surrender it to other people and they will use the political power you have against you. The second one is economic power. That is a serious one. Because economic power is part of what you need to have. What we still not have in this country is that the majority of the people don't have the economic power in their hands. And that's why we have problems. And finally, it is the security power. Those three makes what a state is, are the three pillars. We need to debate the economic power. What do we mean by this? And how do we achieve it? That's a job that the Alliance must discuss very seriously. And we must not move away and shy away from discussing those issues. We have to achieve a truly non-racial, non-sexist, and prosperous South Africa We must promote inclusive growth and create decent work for our people through the manner in which we manage the economy. And I know that this is an ongoing debate from the economists and those who are not economists. Because it is easy to discuss economy. Because basically they talk about assumptions. If you say to them, but this is what you said, it was just an assumption. Comrades, we do not want to be diverted from these goals and should not be diverted from our goals, from our unity, from our working together. Let us not allow those who don't like us to divide us and to divert us, please. We will be together for a long time to come because the struggle continues. As long as there are poor people, there are unemployed citizens, our struggle continues. As long as there are bad conditions at work, our struggle continues. It is us, and only us, as an entity of an alliance, that can lead South Africa to prosperity. No other force, political force in this country, can do it except us. But if one of us is limping, it cannot be good. It must be the consent of all of us. And therefore, Cosatu must rise. And even if, as a federation, we have lost some of the unions, work hard to organize more and to conscientize those who left correctly. It's a job you must do as an organizer, as an organizing federation. Unity is the key. One of the old men we know most used to say, this national liberation movement that you are in partnership within the alliance was founded on unity, which was the rock. Don't undermine unity. Don't fight with your comrade. There is a bigger fight to fight with the enemy. Don't waste your energy. Comrades, I wish you all the best and the successful Congress. It is our wish, it is the wish of the African National Congress that this Congress must put behind the problems that have affected Cosatu. It must emerge as a united, strong federation that we know. We are there next to you. We'll support you in every corner, in every step. Manza! Awethu! Oh, inde lendlela esihambayo. Oh, inde lendlela esihambayo. Oh, inde lendlela esihambayo. Oh, inde lendlela esihamba. Washu Mandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sohlangana ngefree. Washu Mandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sohlangana ngefree. Oh, inde lendlela esihambayo. Oh, inde lendlela esihambayo. Oh, inde lendlela esihambayo. Oh, inde lendlela esihambayo. washumandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sohlangana ngefreedom washumandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sohlangana ngefreedom yinde lendlela esihambayo yinde lendlela esihambayo yinde lendlela esihambayo yinde lendlela esihambayo washumandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sohlangana ngefreedom washumandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sohlangana ngefreedom day. What I was talking about is part of the journey. This journey is long. Don't lose comrade along this journey. Hold them closer. Be united so that you can succeed to reach the final destination. Amanda! Away to all power! Thank you very much, my comrades.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Comrade President. We have listened carefully. But before you leave, Comrade President, the President of Cosatu,
Asna no sisebenza kanzi asna vanlo asna Mandla viva the ANC viva the ANC viva viva President Zuma of the ANC viva Viva President Zuma, viva! Thank you very much, Comrade Deputy President. We do acknowledge the arrival also of other officials of the African National Congress. And I'm sure they will be introduced on time. We know you're coming from a very important national working committee of the African National Congress. If it was not that situation, you would have been with us earlier. We've seen the SG, we've seen the treasurer, we've seen the DSG. If I miss others, we will note that. We appreciate that demonstrates how much unity of our leaders is having to come here, all of them together. We really appreciate that. We want to invite the President, and we know that we have done this to you each time we have our congresses. We were not going to not to do this time what we do, because even if it is the same gift, it's not about the gift, Mongameli. It is about what the gift represents. As workers, we understand the value of the alliance and we understand the relevance of the alliance. But as workers, we also respect leadership, and we are happy that you have spoken to us. We have apologized quietly on the earlier delay that we had to come and go before you could address us, and we thank you and appreciate you for having come back to address us and spoke to us, the workers of South Africa, in the way that we would expect the African National Congress to speak to us. We appreciate. We want to hand over this gift to you in the normal way, and the guys who are protecting you must relax. There is absolutely no anthrax here, no bomb here. We want to do it the Cosatu way by Sigumbatise, Sichabule, Sbong, Sondela.
Baba, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, comrades. We are racing against time. Thank you very much. Comrade, you may take your seats now. Comrades, before we finalize this issue of the two motions, we thought as the office bearers it is very much important for us to clarify some misinterpretation of the Constitution by some of you, comrades. Because if we don't do that, we shall have failed in our